attendance, please. And since we are blessed with the presence of our LPOH leader, Ed Major, Ed, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay, is there any public comment? That works for me. Okay. We are basically starting a new council here with lots of new members. So what I would like to do is to go around the room and introduce ourselves and just state which county we're from. Yes, Lisa, which you gotta talk, and which agency you're from, dear, okay? And what department, if you're with which county, and then which agency. So,
Brian Bronner, Erie County, Twin City ambulance,
and he is the chair-elect. He will be the new chair in April.
unless somebody else wants to run the fair.
Okay. Carol Stample, I am currently the chair until April. I am from Wyoming County and with Bliss Rescue.
Chris Summer from Erie County and I'm with Lakeview, Boston and Amherst.
I'm Donna Barber, I'm the treasurer, and I'm with Bliss Rescue,
Christina,
Wyoming County.
oh, sorry,
Sorry about that.
okay.
Christina Mistrella, Erie County, Edgartsville. Jessica Graham, Wyoming County, Berrysburg.
Mary Beth Hughes, Erie County, EMS.
Who's took to talk to Wyoming County, former EMS.
Okay, that's good, that's fine. Do some work.
from Wyoming County.
And he's a citizen also. Lisa?
Lisa Witzke, I live in the county, I need DOH rep for Big Lakes and Southwest.
Yeah,
Hi, I'm Ed Major from Stadium S. I'm out of Erie County actually, and I come from Western region.
okay, and then one of our new members.
Sure, Zachary Ellis, Erie County, Northern Amber, and
Welcome, Zach.
Eric County, Erie County, AMR, Seneca County.
Welcome, Eric. Michael?
Shaw, Wyoming County Emergency Services.
And also Howland.
I'm Wyoming County.
Yeah,
She's from Wyoming.
okay.
I'm Ricky Shaw, I'm a member of Holiday House.
Julia Elgie, Wyoming County Emergency Services, Craversville Fire Department, Wyoming County.
Sue Spetzel, Deansville, Volunteer Fire Department, ambulance, and, Wyoming County.
Bonnie Freehaber, Wyoming County,
And Lamp, Wyoming County, Attica.
Mike Hyde, Erie County, Twin District Fire Department and UBMD.
Jeff Skoda, Erie County, Twin District Fire Company, and Twin City.
Rob McCartan with UBMD. I'm the program agency director. I actually live in Niagara County and I ride with Rapids Fire Department.
Okey dokey. So, I'm gonna pass this around while, we're kind of like just breaking the agenda a little bit. I'm gonna pass this around. This is for committees. I got 4 pages of committees here. What I would like you to do, because I am reassigning, I mean, we need new committees is basically what we did off of the old list, which was done 2 to 3 years ago. I would like you to put your name down for up to 3 committees and put a 1 or a 2 or a 3 down for preference of which committee you would like to be on. Now, Brian said, don't do it because the committees elect their own chair, but if you would be interested in being the chair of that committee, doesn't mean you're gonna be. Please put a C next to that also, okay? So we're gonna start with poor Jessica and she can look through, okay? I'll try not to flip over the cord. Okay, thank you. Okay, approval of the August 28th, 2024 minutes and amendments. Is there any questions or changes to the minutes? If that is the case, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to accept.
And a second we got, All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, good. Correspondence.
Basically, correspondence I received since our last meeting was just, enforcement notifications from the New York State Department of Health. So, I brought. That was,
Okay. Any questions? Okay, good. Treasurer's report, Madonna.
If anyone didn't receive the email with my report, there's a few copies up here. The only two expenditures we've had since July 1st, the beginning of our fiscal year was for the quarterly payment for UBMD or UEMS, excuse me, and Tackberry's trophies for our plaques for the annual training awards meeting. Are there any questions on the treasurer's report?
Okay, I would like a motion to approve the treasurer's report then, Michael? And Christina,
Sure.
Crystal, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I worked elections yesterday. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay,
I also have,
yes,
a piece of correspondence that I will be giving to Chris also. I figured he had already received it. I received it in an email from the Department of Health on our being awarded the $125,000 for our new contract. It's a 5-year contract, $25,000 each year. There were also some documents and so forth that I had to submit in relation to that, updating, our exemption from workers' comp and other types of documents. And also our budget, which we had approved. I submitted that. I had to provide some additional narrative for each expenditure. And now the last thing I have to do was also they required an explanation as to what deliverable each expense meets with a brief description on how these expenses relate to REMSCO duties. So I will provide that last bit of information and we should be all set to go for it to be signed. Anybody have any questions on that?
so basically, we have been able to continue to get our money because our treasurer has done due diligence with doing the wonderful state program of Grants Gateway and now the state financial system. I was Google, I didn't say the other thing I call it. And there are many councils, regional councils in the state that, to my knowledge, have not gotten the money because they have not kept up with doing these programs, which are not easy and not, how can I say, they're not easy and they're not, friendly. So, yeah, easy, yeah. So, please give your, if you can, please thank Madonna for doing it when you are able to. Is there any questions in regards to Madonna's confusing thing about the contract and everything? For the new people, we are basically funded by the Department of Health. And we receive $125,000, that is $25,000 a year. Approximately 13,000 of that goes to Rob for UBMD.
Which,
Yeah, well, you're the face, so that's what you get, that's what you get charged with. But anyways, for the program agency, and then we can also use some of that money for education and then also recruitment and retention, but the, way that we can spend it has tightened throughout the years. Any questions? Okay. Medical Advisory Committee, the REMAC.
REMAC met October 2nd. Two big issues out of REMAC were addressing some concerns with the interfacility transfer protocols that were published and approved in July. The concerns were around scope of practice and level of care for some interventions in the document, as well as some policies that were in the old IFT document that were not carried over to the new one. REMAC voted to basically pause the revised or updated IFT protocol and continue to operate under the old IFT protocol until they resolve those issues and get the training out. The other issue that everybody seems to be going through is bylaws. The draft was not presented. It is with an attorney. I believe it's been approved as a form and there's a content or quorum question. So we're expecting to see that at the REMAC at their next meeting, which has not yet been published. So the meeting scheduled for 25 is not out yet.
Okay, and IFT is interfacility transfers. Any questions for the REMAC? Okay, Greg, you got anything to add to that?
No, I did ask, the chair, and the guidance for the lack of sailing solutions. I haven't seen anything.
Okay,
There was something from New York State that came out, like, I don't know that locally we have any other guidance.
There's been guidance on saline from, I think it was HHS in the form of a video, and then today extended expiration of some of the IV fluids. Looks like mostly Baxter Labs products. They extended some expirations today.
Craig, you can also refer to our policy statement 2409, it should be the latest.
Right, I was just looking for a local player.
Yeah, absolutely.
any question for Brian, Greg, or Ed Major? Okay, we will move on then. The Sunsco. Greg,
Central met, on September 17th. Number of things were gone over, including the extension of the 4-year certificate for people. Of course, I missed it on my research, so I only got 3 years. One of the interesting things is that every meeting is always discussion about the finances of the classes, and we don't spend enough or all the money on training. They have 3 or 4 different ways to do it, but doesn't seem very conducive to, at least this area, like the academy program. It might work for certain people, but it doesn't work for us. So all of they're doing what they can to get training out there, but there's some challenges on that. They also were going to pay the sponsors for students that completed the program, but hadn't tested yet for the state, because it's a significant drop with 25% of the people never test, and unless they test and pass, the sponsor doesn't get paid. They were supposed to move up, so as long as they pass the class, you would get paid. That just never went through. There's, I know, Brian, you talk about your 606. There's a lot of work being done on, sorry to cut you off. A lot of work being done. I mean, it's remarkable. I listen to it, and it's just a difficult thing to tap. You know, and it comes down to the definition need.
So almost everybody's aware, I'm sure, policy statement of 606 is the Bureau's policy statement on the CON process, and adds in some language around definitions. That drives from primarily Article 30. There are some issues around need, what constitutes need, how it's defined, how it's demonstrated. All that's attempted to be addressed in a revised policy statement and revisions to Article 30. It's very complicated, especially when we look at the definition of EMS, not of need. Definition of EMS in New York State as it currently stands really limits the new initiatives that are coming about. We have that temporary temporary MIHCP authorization for existing agencies, but no new agencies, and some other issues. So last conversation, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we limited it to kind of the existing concept and referring to DLA for cross-referencing with hospital systems and other stuff.
Yeah, I have talked to some hospital systems about what they do, because they have a certificate of need or authority for beds and things like that. And they have, to me, it sounds very similar compared to what we do. But and I think what Brian's really trying to work for is get the interpretation out of the statement. Because depending on who you are, where you come from, you read it a different way, and you're working on it. So, but I think we get some help from the hospital systems.
So we're hoping there will be a clear standard that will render moot a lot of the fighting that we've seen over the years. And
No,
we either have it or we don't.
I'll be retired.
Right.
You've been
Yes.
promising that one for a while, Greg.
I have Alzheimer's, I think.
Yeah.
I have some other notes from the state. I don't know if you
Okay,
have more.
I got it. I'm trying to read it.
Anybody who's currently participating in the IGEL demonstration project, that project got sunset. The results were absolutely fantastic, as expected, as has been demonstrated in numerous other states. So it's a matter of getting to the policy statement and dealing with some protocols and scope there, but I think over the next, what would you guess, Rob, 6 months, we'll see IGEL adopted at the BNF level as a standard.
Yeah, however, it's worth mentioning that even though the pilot got sunsetted, they're still allowing people to join in the IGO. So if your agency is still interested and you qualify, feel free to get your application in. I can present it to the board.
Yeah, so that's moving. On the education front, I know we talked about it in August. We are still pending policy statements on the new regs. So you can go to the Bureau website and read the new regs. Policy statements will be coming around some specific things. I think one of the ones that is most anticipated is for the redefined continuous practice that people who are not affiliated with agencies will be able to recertify through the CME-based recertification process. So waiting to see when that comes up. The finance committee presented a couple of cool things. Their paper on workforce shortage is expected to be released pretty soon. And that will include data that goes back to 2019 and incorporates the annual, I think it's NAEMT surveys, but I'm not positive on that site. So some good information there. I believe the South Carolina EMS Association is also going to present soon to CMAC and SEMSCO about what they've done to address their workforce shortage. I know they've done a lot of fascinating things, and as a state, they think that they've resolved the issue. So if we can learn from them, that would be great. And then the other two things that we're waiting on, but there is money earmarked for recruitment and retention for every REMSCO at 15,000. And basically scholarships, the REMSCOs will designate for 20,000 to send 2 people to paramedic school. Touched on the systems committee and the CON issue. The performance standards regulations are moving forward. I believe that's in the writing process. Looking at Ed and Lisa to nod or shake their heads on that. The performance standards are in the writing process,
Yeah, thanks.
so we're working on regs.
I'm sorry, yes, Brian, normally I pay like laser focused attention on you, but Scott,
I've been looking at you continuously, like, correct me if I'm wrong.
no, you got it, thank you, I'll pay attention.
The governor did sign into law the treatment in place and transport to alternative destination legislation. That required a state plan amendment for Medicaid, which is currently with CMS pending approval. But once approved, we will all have, everybody who's billing will have the option to bill for additional services like treatment in place and transport to alternative destination. Nobody yet knows what the bounds will be on that, but it's reimbursement that doesn't currently exist, so a positive change. And blood recs were signed in too, but we don't know what that'll mean until Wadsworth tells us. Quality metrics we talked about, innovations we talked about, and the definition of EMS. I guess I'll just read this out so everybody knows what was proposed and is being put forth by CMAC, SEMSCO, NISVERA, Onion, and some other agencies. The most recent definition says emergency medical service means a coordinated system of interoperable healthcare response, assessment, treatment, transportation, emergency medical dispatch, medical direction, research and practitioner education that provides essential emergency and non-emergency care and transportation for the ill and injured and enhances preparedness and mitigates risks to the public. That is, I think, the 4th draft definition that's circulated to try and incorporate the practices that EMS has historically engaged in and that is moving forward, including MIHCP. And we'll see what happens. The definition changes have met a lot of resistance in past budgets, especially by the Nurses Association. In the concern being that expanding the scope of EMS would encroach on the roles typically satisfied by nurses. And other than that, it's just the next meeting is first week of December. Anything left there, Greg, or did I cover that?
State's hiring a lot of people.
Yes,
Just figure I'd throw that down.
it is, what's the number? He went from 35, 6 years ago to 80 now, targeting 200.
156 or so will be the, within the next Short County, State Short County.
And, maybe not for right now, but when we get to your report, Ed, would you be kind enough to explain the transition from bureau to division and stuff that's going on there?
Sure.
Thank you. That's all.
Hey, any questions for Greg, Brian? In regards to the Sunscope, Rob, did you want to add anything to the Sunscope report?
The only thing that I would add that really wasn't at the SEMSCO, but I just heard recently. Was that I think it's Medicaid. Approved blood transport at ALS2. Medicare, okay.
So
I know it's one of the.
for those agencies that are using blood products, and we're obviously waiting to see how they'll shape up in New York, but it is at the ALS2 fee schedule.
Anything? Okay, anybody else from Suns? Okay. Any questions for anybody? Okey dokey. One thing is that at the last meeting on August 28th, we did nominate Mr. Gill and Mr. Browner, I always say your name wrong. For the Sunscope representatives, gentlemen, I need a resume and your date of birth and everything else that they require. So I can get those into the Sunscope so that they can start to consider for the next 3 years who they want. 2 years. I'm gonna say, I meant that it would take them 3 years to decide. Okay? Okay, moving on. Erie County, Greg.
Erie County, we were fortunate enough to be notified that, the state has given us conditional approval for a paramedic training program. It will be scheduled to start on, in January 6th, I think. The first round of the class is gonna have 20 people in it, but keep it kind of small just to test it out. See how,
January 26th, you're gonna start it?
6th,
January 6th.
there'll be
Okay.
20 people in the class.
Okay, 20, okay.
All right, and if you watch for the county website, you'll see the application come up. In the next couple of days, they'll be in the for it. And then the 45 session program that'll go into October, and then a multi-clinical, and then we should be able to, so we're very happy with that. It's conditional because we haven't applied for accreditation yet. Once we apply, but you can't apply for accreditation unless you run a class that we can do. So once they do that, we are putting the application in, and this class will be hopeful to have the accreditation within the year.
Okay, is that class gonna be mainly held at the Erie County Training Center?
It's gonna be, no, it's gonna be well, close to me, 500 commerce. So I have access to everything every day, because we do 2 days a week. And
500 Commerce where?
it's Amherst,
And Amherst,
yeah,
okay.
it's a little north than we want to be, but that's, we don't have the ability to get the rooms over at the training center.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Just confirm starts in January, they'll be eligible to test it in November.
That's it.
That's even shorter than Erie County, okay. Anything else?
Well, the intent was to be opposite of your community college
Okay,
and not produce paramedics to come out at the same time that they did. And also not to start a class at the same time. The colleges. We're trying to, work out.
okay, you can let that be for a second, Greg, it's okay, for the clipboard.
What is
Yeah, I'll tell you. Anyways, so anyways, any questions for Greg on Erie County? Moving on, okay. Wyoming County, we are missing Bill Stryker, but if our 2 Wyoming County EMS individuals have anything as they keep on pointing at each other to say, or to add in regards to,
The only thing that we have is that, we dropped the ambulance service instead of 2 24/7 ambulances, it's a 16/7 and 24/7 temporarily.
okay. And other than that, I think we're good. Okay, and also we do have some EMT classes starting up. We have a new CIC. Sue's doing one in Gainesville, and then also we have Ann doing a class in Bennington, correct?
Correct.
Okey dokey. Okay, sounds good. So we're rocking and rolling out there in the county. Anybody got any questions that we don't have any answers to from Wyoming County? Okay. What's the New York Express?
They say they had 3 interventions in the last 2 months, 2 in Wyoming County and 1 in Erie County.
Okay. Sounds good. The Wyoming County first responder team, we don't really have anything, do we, Sue? Okay, nothing to report there. Okay, we're gonna start with committee reports, budget.
I don't believe we have anything to report other than what I had stated during the treasurer's report.
Membership, Christina. Oh, any questions for Madonna on budget? Okay, moving on. Christina, membership.
Lots of new additions, lots of departures. After the August meeting, Erie County is full with 13 full members and Wyoming County has 12 full members. We have 3 alternates currently assigned to Erie County, which leaves us 1 open vacancy in Wyoming for a full member and 1 alternate. Currently have 3 applications, all 3 from Erie County.
Well, they're gonna have to hold because we don't have any openings currently, correct?
We have 1 alternate open,
We do have one
if we
alternate.
want to keep all 4 of them in Erie County.
Okay, okay. Which I think we have to right now, don't we, Mr. Bylaws?
We don't have to, but if there's a vacancy and we can add a member who can participate, why would we do that?
Yeah, there's a vacancy for Erie County. We got 4 pending applications, so.
No, there's a vacancy for Wyoming County.
Oh, there is a vacancy for Wyoming County is all we have.
There's 1 full
Vacancy
spot.
for an alternate.
What's that?
1 alternate and 1 Wyoming County seat, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so can an Erie County person fill a Wyoming County seat?
No.
No,
But
that's what I thought.
an Erie County person can fill.
All
The
4
alternate
alternate
seat.
spots.
Okay. So, hate to make it a popularity contest, but we could put those 4 names forth.
Right.
3 names forth. And then vote on them for the open alternate. Or we could vote on them one by one.
I want to take them by the application.
And we have in the past, like Andy, I hear it.
Always whoever submitted their application first.
Okay,
Correct.
okay, so who submitted their application first?
Vincent Malpica, from Grand Island. Currently I'm online as an AEMT with Twin City. My main role at Twin City is scheduling coordinator along with special events coordinator. I wish to become a member of the council so I can help make informed and insightful decisions to EMS regionally. Currently working in an agency that stays very busy. I would like to be sure decisions are made cohesively and informed to keep every agency successful, as well as making sure the communities in the area are well served.
Sounds like a new chair, Brian.
Lots of adjectives in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 years.
Okay, we have a application in front of us. Do we have a motion to accept this application for the alternate for Erie County? Mike Hyde has made the application. Do I have a second? Ann, Lynn. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
Abstain.
And Jeff's a go to abstain also. Okay, the motion to accept Vincent as our new alternate from Erie County has been approved.
So that leaves us 1 open Wyoming full member.
Full member,
Yeah.
correct, correct. And there may be an application coming for that. She was unable to come tonight, so. But she would like to thank her, Jessica.
I updated the roster as much as possible, just based on some of the forms that we had here. I'm just gonna pass this around tonight, please. If you could please just initial the spelling of your name, the spelling of your email, and if the date joined, I know some of us have been here for a long time. If that gets a little fuzzy, it's not critical, but if something looks very askew, just circle that, please, let me know, and I will look into it.
Okay, awful good. Okay, thank
Please
you.
just initial next to it as you get there, just so I know who I still need to reach out to.
Anything else, Christina?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Chris mentioned that he had the best response in regards to whether or not you are able to attend this meeting from our new members. So from these people sitting up here that have been here for ages, I would like to applaud our new members for getting back to Chris as to whether or not they're able to attend. Thank you. Also another thing is that if you go through Chris's email list and find somebody who shouldn't be there or that is missing, because like, Ricky, she was missing for a bit, that got all kind of, thing, please let us know so that we can update the forwarding email list for, the council. For the new members, please be aware that either you're gonna be present. If you respond to Chris that you are not gonna be able to come, that's an excuse. And if you don't respond at all and you don't come, that's an absence, and it's, how many absences right now as per bylaws, 2?
2.
And if you're absent for 2 absences, the executive committee can remove you from the council. Okay, and that is not a threat, and it is not a promise, but it can potentially happen. Any questions? Okey dokey. Thank you so much, Christina, for doing what you have done. And thank you, Ann, for your continued service on that membership committee since God created the earth. Okay, systems.
Systems committee has been busy. We obviously finished in August, the big tree transfer. We have been working with Southline Fire District around their application to move from municipally declared operating authority to permanent operating authority. That deadline is looming and we anticipate the completed application before that deadline, but we will likely have to have a special meeting of the body to review what will be the hearing officer's recommendation, the systems committee recommendation, and vote on action relative to that CLA.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Any questions? Okay, training and ed. Nothing to report. Any questions for Brian? I forgot to ask. Okay. Moving on, bylaws.
No report?
No report. Where are you at with, because you were gonna send them over to Kevin and
We have a draft, we're just
just need to get at it. Okay. Any questions in regards to bylaws? Okay, awards and PR, Bill Stryker is not here, but Greg was like the informal chair of the location. So do you have anything to report on the awards or PR?
You know, it's fine.
Okay,
Thanks for coming.
okay,
Next
any-
year, me and,
okay, I thought it was a very nice awards dinner and I appreciate Greg for the effort that he made and also appreciate Bill. I do not believe we won anything at Vital Signs from what I can retain, but we tried, so that was a good thing. Any questions? Okay, New York State Department of Health.
Lisa.
Ed.
No, I'm glad Lisa was here tonight, because, I think it's important that, from and I think from an encouragement standpoint, from regional council aspects, is that regional chairs from the various regional councils should collaborate, work on strengths and, weaknesses and opportunities for improvement, those kind of things. I know nobody's got time, but I think that those are, this council has strengths, their councils and the other areas have strengths, and I think some type of collaboration as to some initiatives and those kind of things would be encouraged, and, we've got Lisa here tonight, just, evaluating, and taking some of that stuff back to the southwest and to the north side, so that's an important thing. Brian asked me to talk, briefly about the, transition. The Bureau of EMS is in I'll call it a growth spurt. We're changing, in a sense, from a bureau to a division. The division, basically, the qualifications for that are at the DOH level from a budgeting standpoint and a number of personnel, we've exceeded that of the definition of what DOH classifies as a bureau. So we are becoming a division. A lot of that was allocated from, the state budget, the initiatives of the task force, and you know, I mean, you've seen a lot of the, you know, the stuff didn't pass, as we know, but, from the perspective of budgetary, there's been an allocation of a good number of positions specifically for, establishing of a state task force. So we've got an entire team, that is really, devoted to implementing a state task force over the next year. So the state task force should be up and running within a year. Now, what level and what capacity that's going to be and where we're at from the hiring perspective, but we're going from, as Brian said, a staff of like 30, 35 up until about a staff of 150. Not all of those folks are gonna be knocking at your agency's door, as regulators. They're, you know, in a sense, different components from a EMS task force perspective. And the EMS task force is in response to our unique inability to rapidly deploy and respond to emergencies. If you look at the Buffalo snowstorm, if you look at the contracting requirements, you look at the disaster that has impacted a particular region, the state, we have a process. Local resources have to, it's a rule state. Local resources have to be exhausted. Everything has to be at capacity. There has to be specific requests from the jurisdiction having authority, the county executive, you know, the county that's impacted. We then have to conduct a survey of all available state certified resources to see what they can allocate through, meet and inclusion criteria, and then there's always the financial component. Are the counties paying for this? Is the state paying for this? Who's contracting with those response entities that will respond to the area? Our objective with the state task force is that we will have a significant capacity to respond to a disaster area. In about within 6 hours, assets could be deployed and on site and operational to a particular jurisdiction that is impacted. I'll go in, I can go into all the other details, but I'll just give you the, you know, we want to get out of here by 9 you know, when you guys also asked me to talk about all the regulations, then I can kind of go through all that stuff, we can, no. I'm sorry, that's good. No, so I think that, from the perspective of staffing and capacity, one of the initiatives is the task force. The other component is we have a bunch of, right now, you look at Lisa's position, you look at my position, we're sort of multi-hat positions, right? We do education, we do investigations, we do CONs, we do all these other components. So now we're specializing in our branch is really investigations and EMS surveillance. So we will do the regulatory enforcement, case investigation, complaint investigations, agency interactions for full service inspections, spot inspections, and all that kind of stuff. Compliance with Part 800 regulations. We have Don Trepez has moved on to the branch chief of EMS licensure. So all of the agency licensure, CONs, and all those kind of components are are basically handled through that section. Education, we are adding 2 education positions to the west. There'll be 2 positions in the Buffalo office, and they'll be starting, one of them will be starting early December, and another one will be starting sometime in January. So from an education piece, which has been lacking because we've been short-staffed and we have been spread thin. So I think that there's a lot of positive momentum towards where the Bureau is going. So, again, from a capacity standpoint, we're going from 30 to 150. A bunch of those will be deployed at the task force level, which would be 2 resources per economic development zone initially, which would be from fly cars or some specialized pathogen units and a whole bunch of other stuff that was really, the director did a whole bunch of informational pieces on this. If you know, we gave out 2-page informational sheets and all that kind of stuff. A lot of you've seen that. Because you know I can talk, but from the perspective of where we're going and where we need to be, there'll be a lot of state positions that are coming up and the civil service website, state jobs, and right now a lot of those positions are being hired in our CALPS program, which means that you don't have to be on civil service list in order to apply for those positions. So I would relate back to policy statements. We've got several policy statements that are published on our website. 2401, 2410. Those are a lot, some of those are change logs, some of those are the supply chain disruption, protocol change logs and those kind of components and some other stuff that you should be familiarized with. As we move into colder temperatures, I always like to send out a reminder about safe storage of medications and compliance with temperatures and those kind of components and patient safety. I always talk about patient safety from the perspective, we had an incident, actually in Genesee County, ambulance was flipped over, patient was on board. Luckily, the crew took all the appropriate precautions, the chest harnesses, patient was restrained totally appropriately with the restraining devices. Not because they were mental health or emotionally disturbed, it was the appropriate thing to do. The crew also was harnessed in the back and in the front, and they were upside down when rescue got there. Very minor incident related to patient injury, so I always encourage people to take that extra minute for patient safety, crew safety, obviously it's vital. So any questions, Brian? I just want to give sort of a high level rapid discussion about it, but I'm happy to answer any questions, and certainly Lisa is also.
Thank you.
Was it? Okay. I have more. I have more. No, thank you all.
Would Lisa present that cookie recipe for us?
Yes, that's a good idea, yeah.
I sent it to you.
I know.
Oh, we're missing. Next meeting, Lisa. Any questions? Okay, thank you for the phenomenal report, Ed. Okay, executive board, well, I was in the Adirondacks. So it was a wonderful executive board meeting, because there was none. So, we will be having one December the 4th, unless we have to meet as a general, body due to the South Line municipal CON prior to, but other than that, we don't really have an executive board report. Okay. UBMD.
I happen to notice that my report did not go out with the general announcement. I apologize for that. If anybody wants the report, please let me know. I can send it to you. It's sitting on my computer at the office, so I'd have to wait till tomorrow, but I don't really have much that hasn't already been presented. I will say, it was asked, and I probably should bring it up. Our contract is still in process. We have not received our contracts as program agencies yet. None of us. We have been pushing relentlessly to the point that I'm sure finance, the POH is probably very annoyed with us. We continue to push on that, partially due to the fact that your $15,000 and your $20,000 sits in our contract, and you can't spend it until obviously we get our contracts. And we'd like you to spend that money. The only other thing, up at Vital Signs, I did have a kind of a sidebar with Carol. And I informed her one of the things I wanted to come to the council and ask for. As I know, year after year, the council struggles to expend all its funding. You're often limited by what you can spend your funding on versus us. And one of the things I wanted to do is about a month ago, I think it was, maybe only a couple weeks ago, there was a big shift in the portal. When the portal was first put out, there was basically a patch put on it that prevented pulling providers offline if they did not meet the qualifications of the RE/MAX credentialing policy, where it was actually supposed to run independently. And while digging into one particular question with one particular provider, the developer decided we're just going to remove the patch. And so ultimately, I had a tremendous amount of people that all of a sudden went offline. Our goal is to actually replace online, offline with the word compliant versus non-compliant to be more in line with what the REMAC has authority to do, is basically say you're in compliant with the policy or you're not in compliant. Because unfortunately, as a whole, the REMAC cannot remove a provider without due process. So as a result of that, my question to Carol and actually to the board right now is that change in our portal is gonna cost $1,800, and I wanted to know if the rent school would be willing to pick up that tab to kind of help offset some of your funding. I realize this may not be an optimum time, as I'm sure Madonna has already created her budget. That's our question. I mean, that's pretty much all I have at this point, but
Okay.
to the council.
Okay, so, Rob has brought up the fact that, what? 1,800 for the, oh goodness, say it again, Rob,
Modifications to the portal.
for modifications to the portal. What is your thought on this, and would anybody be willing to make a motion? Okay, thoughts? No? Would anybody be willing to make a motion for the council to spend $1,800 for the modifications to the EMS provider?
Is the portal only used by Erie and Wyoming?
No. Big Lakes is
So,
fine.
so are you asking Big Lakes for?
I can, except they don't have money.
Because again, like I said earlier, they didn't keep up with
Let's-
Grants Gateway.
Yes, let's just pull that out of the hat. I would be asking them,
Okay,
and I'm sure that they would be willing to pick up that tab. But to ask them for money and their promise of money that they don't even have is not gonna do me any good.
okay.
So you don't have to contribute the whole 1,800. That's what I'm asking for. It's up to this council. I'm, not gonna force you back in there.
Okay, Madonna, would you be able to pull it out and change a line item or something like that?
We would have to, I don't know, we'd have to do a budget amendment. I'm not sure where we have monies in education and training.
And that's kind of what it's with, because it's in regards to the recertifications and also CPR and et cetera, and the numerous courses that we have to keep up with, especially on the paramedic level.
So it could be taken out of education and.
I would think so, you know, like new Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have budgeted $5,716 for training ed with zero anticipated spend at this point.
correct. We can do that. What is the council's pleasure?
So is it simply to change it from offline online to
Compliant,
compliant and not compliant, or is there anything else that will get changed?
that's it. A little softer of a tone.
I'll make a motion, we pay half.
I'll
I think,
second.
I think that it's, there's two regions involved.
Yeah.
We shouldn't put the bill for the other region. So I'll make a motion, we pay half.
Okay, so I have a motion on the board and seconded. For $900, Julia. LG. To fund $900 towards the modifications necessary for the EMS portal. Any questions or discussions? Yes, Jeff?
If we only fund half of it, does that mean, will there be other funding for UBMD to make that change, or be no funding at all for you guys for that?
We'll find the money. You'll probably end up picking up the tab.
Any other questions or discussion?
Just one, Madonna, when does this budget year end?
June 30th of 2025.
So we're give or take 8 months from that, and how much of our budget is unspent? So about 13K goes to UBMD, the
Well,
remaining 12.
Actually, six, the amount that goes to them is $6,524. That's for each quarterly payment of $1,631. That's the total.
So
So currently, we've spent $1,813. So we have remaining 23,187, but we do have other, amounts that are earmarked, as you said, that aren't specifically spoken for. Is as far as education and training, it's in the education and training line, 5,716.
I'm just thinking about this from the perspective of we're allocated 25,000 and it's very much use it or lose it. So we leave that money to the state if we don't spend it. We've not spent down our 25,000 in how long?
Last year, I believe. we spent 13. Last year, we spent 13,500.
So we left 11,500 on the table last year. Just something to think about. I don't know that I'm feeling strongly either way. But when we talk about spending this money, it's not like if we don't spend it, we get to keep it. It just goes back to the state.
So could we do,
Well, we'll act upon the amendment, I mean, on the current motion that's on. What we can do then is to do another motion, if you so desire.
We're still in discussion with the motion.
Yeah, and we're still discussion, so Sue,
thanks, Brian. So could we offer up 900 now? We've got 8 months left of our budget. Try to come up with some other ways to spend this money that would benefit EMS in the region. And then if we still have money left to spend, give them the other $900.
Absolutely not true.
yes.
Plan to have it done before June.
So we're,
So that will be.
Right.
yeah, be a
Sure,
reimbursement.
folks.
Yeah.
Will be a reimbursement. Any other discussion or questions?
I like that proposal.
Okay, okay. Okay, so right now we have a motion on the table for 900 to be spent towards the portal. One last cry for any questions or discussion. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Okey dokey, that is passed.
The last thing I do want to say is we did execute our MOU with the council.
Yes. After him haranguing me and me haranguing him.
That was also submitted with the budget and for the new contract.
Did you get it? Okay.
Just for everybody's benefit, did you send MOU and your report to Chris to distribute to everybody tomorrow?
Chris has my report.
Oh, yeah, I got it. Oh. Chris will take care of it. Sorry.
I will send him my MOU.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, that would be great.
Do I need some sort of invoice or from?
We can send you one.
Sense.
Yeah, no, I can send for proof, yeah.
Okay. Okay, any other questions in regards to Rob from UBMDR programming? Okey dokey. Okay, old business. Even though Chris didn't have anything on the thing, first I got down is the request for proposals for in regards to the recruitment and retention for a marketing.
That was already voted and decided in August.
Right.
Wait, no.
We're just waiting for money. Okay, okay. The Erie County Paramedic Program, that was answered. That's what I also have written down. The other thing, and I'm keeping it on old business, is the email. So for the new members, we have a Wyoming-Erie Regional EMS Council email at WEREMS.org. And we have been trying to do that, and the reason is for the new members' information, because any correspondence that is for the council is subject to FOIL, which is the Freedom of Information Act. And if somebody wants to FOIL the council and you're involved in correspondence in regard to that particular topic that they would like information on, your personal email can be subject to FOIL. So that is why I've been pushing for the council. However, we keep on having these little road bumps in regards to the email. The latest was, so my computer died and I went to go on and now it wants Microsoft authentication, which it's like, you know, when I tried to do it, then it was all over the place and everything else and et cetera like that. So it's very difficult with this email system because it is through Outlook, and Outlook puts up roadblocks. Madonna was able to beat the system. I gave up and said, I'll just have to talk to Rob and let the money through.
You need to download the authenticator.
I downloaded the authenticator on my phone, which it told me to do, and then it's like, you know, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
So that is one thing with the new members is that you will be hopefully contacted by Rob.
As soon as I get the updated
Or-
list from Christina, I can share that with my guy and we can make those changes.
Okay, so Mike Kropinski,
Krupski.
is the, email, is our tech guy.
Yep.
And so that'll be him, you'll be setting up it, and again, it has to be through Outlook. And then also it has to be through, you know, thing, so. We have all these wonderful little things that they keep on doing to us.
Yeah, Microsoft World.
It's Microsoft World. So, okay, let me see, any other old business? That was the other thing.
I just wanna circle back to the RFP for the marketing. Did we get proposal, what are we waiting on?
We're waiting on money.
On money from the
Yeah,
state?
so we don't want to issue the request for proposal. There were 3 companies, 3 firms who are gonna issue 2 and post it on our website.
Yeah,
But we don't want to do it until the money's actually real,
okay,
because we just don't want to be those people asking for proposals and then going, oh, sorry, we're just kidding.
yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, that's all I wanted to know, was where the, who was waiting on what money from where?
It's the money that's in the contracted program agency that'll be coming through.
Okay.
One of the things I'm sure Rob would bring up too is we should be having a conversation, maybe a training event or somewhere else, around criteria for the effectively the scholarship funding, the 20,000 for 2 paramedics. We should be talking about selection criteria and, you know, stuff that's not just gonna be arbitrary, but I'll pump that to training it or somebody else, because I just really don't wanna do it.
Okay,
If looks could kill.
yeah. Okay, any questions? Any more old business that was forgotten? Okay, new business. First on the list is officer nominations. Sue Stetzel and Sean Halsman have graciously agreed to be the officer nominations committee, so they will be accepting nominations to be voted on at the January meeting for chair, chair-elect, secretary, and treasurer. And we did our directors, so I think they're good for, we just did our directors, so we're good for 2 years. This is supposed to be done in November. Yes, we just did elections, but we were a little behind, so I apologize for that. Any questions on that topic? Okay, also Rob mentioned to me about an iGel application.
Yeah, it hasn't come yet.
Oh, then never mind. Any other new business that anyone can think of?
We have to make a decision at our next meeting, because it's January 1st.
Oh, yes, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
On the nomination subject, I would nominate Carol for chair-elect, Chris for secretary, and Madonna for treasurer.
And
Or Sue.
for me, yeah, and Sean,
And Sean.
yes. Okay,
Do you need me to second those nominations or?
I don't think they have to be seconded because they're going to your committee and then you'll return.
Got it.
Yes. Your preference.
Do I have to nominate you then?
You don't have to.
Yeah, we had. Good job, Chris. And Chris just nominated Brian for chair. No, chair, that'll be chair. That'll be chair. Yeah, that'll be chair.
Carol's turned out.
Yeah, turned out. I aged out.
I don't know what we do for entertainment.
Yeah.
Carol will still be chair elect. We'll get her.
So anyways, but yeah, so if you have any questions, get a hold of Sue. If you want to know how to get a hold of Sue and you don't, I'm pretty accessible and you can find me or get a hold of Christina and she'll feather you. Thanks, because you've already had correspondence from Christina. Okey doke, any other new business? Meeting. Thank you, Chris, again, and for the second time, third time you get to kill me. Or you may beforehand. So the next meeting is actually scheduled for January the 1st, and I'm pretty sure none of us want to be here that day.
Yeah, let's just move it back a week to Christmas.
Yeah, let's just move it back a week to Christmas. So do we want to look at January the 8th? Or do we want to look at, which is the next Wednesday, or do we want to look at another date? Or day? Yes, Chris. I mean, yes, Jeff, I'm sorry. Oh, my God.
I'll make a motion to move to the 8th.
Okay. Okay,
So before we vote on that, just on discussion, we may, because we probably have to have a special meeting for the South Line CON. We may be better served making it the 18th or the 11th. So that we don't have to try and sneak in another meeting, but just for discussion.
the 18th or the 11th?
December.
Oh, of December.
The 18th is Wyoming County's council, so.
Yeah. Hmm?
Not available.
He's not available, Chris isn't available the 18th. Well, I have a motion and seconded right now for January the 8th. The suggestion has come up to change it to potentially December the 11th or the 18th. So we will right now vote on the motion for January the 8th. And right now, as it's looking, how does everybody look for possibly December the 11th if we need to meet before then? Christina down, Mike up, Jessica up, Jeff up. I see ups there on the thumbs and up there, what about on the Julia side? And I can't see who's in the middle there, Ricky's hiding, okay. How about over there in the newbie table? Newbie table, okay, no, okay, one up, one down, how about Mary Beth? Up, okay, and the Tarcatas? They're up right now, okay. Okay, and you're busy the 11th too, well, we'll just have to sucker somebody else in to be secretary, that's all. And pray it's not me, because it took me so long to get to the minutes last time. So anyways, let's have the vote in regards to January the 8th.
So we're going to do two. We're going to do one in December and then one in January.
If we have December, we'll forego January. Okay, but right now we're voting on January the 8th, because that was the motion. Unless somebody wants to make an amendment to the motion.
You want to do the 11th? I mean. I'll make an amendment, that's fine with me, both days work.
We could do an amendment that states that, yeah, because you made the initial motion,
Yeah.
so you could make it that we could change the meeting to January the 8th, except if there is pending business, then to December the 11th.
I amend my motion, what she said.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
So people are blocking 2 days.
What? Let's just vote on the 8th.
Okay, just vote in the 8th.
If we end up having a meeting earlier, we can just entertain another motion to cancel the 8th, if that's it.
Like-
Okay.
So let's just vote the 8th.
Okay, just vote the
Yes or no?
8th. All in favor of the 8th of January, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, now, Right. That was your idea about the 11th, so.
I was just suggesting it so that we can timely hear the application, so. Let's wait until we actually have a hearing and the hearing officer's recommendation, and we'll figure it out.
Okay,
So if we need another meeting, I will make the request from the society to the council for another meeting.
okay, for these CONs, we do have to have, hearing officers present. And recorded as such. Okay. Okay, any other business? Then the favorite motion of any meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. And seconded by Lanny. Oh, Lanny.